Facebook owner Meta plunged by around 20% in after-hour trading.
When Meta reports its first ever decline in revenue after last quarter, its Facebook app reported its first ever decline in users.
Meta shares dropped more than 15% in after-hours trading Wednesday.
Why Meta dropped 77%? If you have been following the news, you might have seen Meta pop up for all the wrong reasons. From staff members hijacking accounts after accepting bribes from individuals, to mass layoffs of nearly 11,000 employees, privacy policy lawsuits from multiple governments. Meta stock is officially one of the worst performing stocks in the S&P 500, which is down to almost 77% from the beginning of the year. In this video, let's do a case study on what went wrong with Meta, why the company went from being one of the top names in the tech industry to one of the worst companies ever, and what lessons we can learn from this and how does this impact us. To understand more, let's take a leap back to understand the fundamentals of Facebook and Meta. The price of a stock is always linked to two main factors, such as the company's future vision and the annual financial reports. Speaking of introducing new products, as Mark Zuckerberg knows, Facebook is almost an end-of-life product, which is now only used by the older generation or boomers and does not receive much user engagement as well. Facebook has reached its end of life and barely has the potential to make solid cash for the company. This is when Mark came out with his virtual reality platform, the Metaverse. Mark made substantial claims such as everyone being able to work in the Metaverse together in VR. And this is the next happening thing, but there is one small problem. You see, when investors learned about this, they did not see any value in this new direction the company was headed in, which is true to some extent. And there are far smaller companies that have achieved the same output with far less investment. Here is a comparison from VR chat versus the Metaverse. The graphics on VR chat are far better and was done with far less investment. Virtual reality existed since a long time before Metaverse came to it, and Mark got lucky once with Facebook being ahead. However, he cannot get lucky twice, and Metaverse is an utter failure. In fact, Facebook did nothing except taking over a VR company, Oculus, and rebranding them as Meta. The second point. When Meta released its annual profit figures, this was something that caused the snowball effect in crashing stock prices. In 2022, Facebook's profits were very disappointing, as they were almost half of the previous years. And this was a downward pattern as more quarterly reports showed lesser and lesser profits. The strong competition Facebook gets from TikTok has proved that the company is really struggling to stay afloat and would need to come up with out-of-the-world ideas like virtual reality world. But this was not the idea that was going to save Mark's empire. Also, looking at the range of companies Meta owns, they only make major revenue from Facebook, WhatsApp Business, and Instagram with their Metaverse project, which is drawing huge investments. Meta reported $27.7 billion in revenue for the third quarter, higher than analysts' forecasts, as sales shrank by 4% with the same period a year earlier. The company reported $4.4 billion profit for the same period, 52% lower than the $9.2 billion it made a year earlier. The company warned of weaker trading ahead. Amid growing competition from TikTok, Meta is also suffering from a slowdown in advertising spend. Meta's costs and expenses climbed by 19% in the third quarter compared with a year earlier. Follow them. However, investors and users still demand value for their money, rather than getting along the hype train and believing that one day it might take off. A tiny ray of hope may be Mark choosing to fire employees, which is in most cases positive signs for the stock price of a company. And if they come up with different projects scrapping the Metaverse, this can be a good recovery for Facebook. Else, the company's doom is inevitable. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.